Yeah, get checked. That's a message that keeps going out every time. Are you good at getting checked, Janet?
Yeah, I always was very good at getting checked because I got loads of reminders. But the fact of the matter is, in this country, there are different priorities for different kinds of cancer. And as an older woman, there are cut-off ages after which you won't get a mammogram or you're not eligible for...
64 for cervical screening and 70 for mammograms.
Yeah, and I think after that, it's a lottery. You've either got to have symptoms or pay. Now, I'm prepared to pay, and I'm lucky enough that I can afford to pay. But my own cancer story was that I had a tiny dot on my face, and it turned out to be skin cancer, and it was dealt with. But I had to do it privately because I wasn't prepared to go through the waiting list scenario. But with my partner, I looked at Peter's, one of his moles, and because of what had happened to me, I said to him, you have to get checked. And I think the thing about men is they don't want to make a fuss. They just don't want to... And they say, oh, I can't get a doctor's appointment. How do I go about this? And I just bullied him. Well, no surprise to you there. I just bullied him into seeing the dermatologist who had spotted my cancer. And yes, he did have skin cancer. And then he was swiftly, after a series of tests, moved over to the NHS where he received excellent care. But I think what Sir Cliff's saying that's interesting is get checked. But, of course, the whole debate about prostate cancer screening is really red hot at the moment because Sir Chris Hoy is really pushing for it, and yet there are a group of doctors saying, hang on a minute,
well, it's the UK National Screening Committee, you know, who made a recent decision, and they've looked at all the factors, and I don't think it's a black and white one. That with all the factors.
And it's always about weighing up cost, you know,
and cost and benefit as it is. Yeah. But also, you're talking about awareness. We do all have to be aware of our own health, but sometimes it's scary to be aware of your own health.
I think that's what I think. As I used to get, well, I still do get screened like every year for. I have my mammogram and my smears, and as I'm getting older,
do you have a mammogram every year?
I have an ultrasound every year.
So you pay for that, though, right?
But I pay for that privately. But as I get older, like every year, I just put it off and put it off. Like now, I'm thinking like I'm due it now, and I'm like, I'll just do it after Christmas because I don't want bad news before Christmas. And it's just
consciously think that.
I consciously think that because I just think I'm just getting closer in age where at some point it's just going to happen, and there's going to be something.
When you receive the bowel cancer test, will you do that? The poo test?
I must admit, I quite enjoy that one.
I haven't done that yet. What age? What age should you do that? What age should you do?
50. I love it. I look forward to it every 2 years.
See, I just think we should do that younger.
No, I'm not being glib there because you've actually you're at risk, aren't you?
I have bowel cancer in my family, so I'm very aware.
You're conscious.
So I was having colonoscopies every 10 years, and I would pay for those because you don't get them routinely, but well, not the full ones. But quite recently, I had a scare. And again, I have to say the NHS were brilliant. I went to the GP. I said, I've got bowel cancer in my family. Bosh, had a colonoscopy on the NHS, and thankfully everything was fine. But so you know, when it comes to it, and you have something that looks like a symptom, the system kicks in quite well. But I do understand the weighing up of, do you screen everybody, even though they're perfectly well, most of them? You know, that money is going to cost a lot, maybe to the detriment that could be used somewhere else better. Yeah. So it is always that, isn't it?
Yeah. But for those screenings that are available...
No, I think if you get the offer of a test, for goodness sake, take it.
Yeah. Well, it can be scary, but the early detection, they say that across all cancers, early detection is the key to a successful outcome.